Morning. Well, as you know, I've got a new motorcycle. I've got the KTM. Lovely bike. It's 1290 Adventure Sport, or Super Adventure Sport. And I fitted the exhaust yesterday. Lovely. And it's a fantastic bike. And a lot of people have asked me why on earth did I pick an adventure bike? They're big, tall. Well, let me explain. The KTM Adventure, the 1290, is virtually the same engine as in the KTM Super Duke, which is probably one of the best sports bikes out there. And I bought this KTM because I wanted an adventure bike, one that I could go places with, one that I could go around Australia with. I could go mostly on-road, probably 90% on-road, with the opportunity to go off-road on tracks and gravel roads and things. Nothing too adventurous, but yeah, I wanted something that I could tour around Australia with, and I thought, well, what's better than this, the Super Adventure? The tyres that come standard on it, they are a sort of dual purpose tyre, which is good. The suspension's all electronic. You can set it different ride modes, you know, for off-road, on-road. Just set it for whatever environment you're on. I could go through all the settings, but there's loads of videos out there that explain all that, so I won't bother. But it's not just that. While you're riding this bike, it gives you a pleasant surprise, especially with the Delcovic exhaust on it. Because although it's an adventure bike, you're really high up, you can see way ahead, which is absolutely fantastic. But also, if you're in the mood to give it a little bit and have a bit of fun on the roads, this KTM, it's like riding a sports bike. It's actually probably the closest thing to riding a Super Duke, except it's high up. And it handles like a sports bike. It's got the tyres for it, it's got the suspension for it. You can lean it over, and if you're brave enough, you can scrape your knee off the ground. I'll never be brave enough for that, but yeah, you can do all that on this bike. And with the exhaust on it, it sounds like a sports bike. And really, what more could you want? You've got a mixture of adventure, you've got a mixture of sport, you've got all the bells and whistles, ABS, traction control, you've got everything. Now, before I bought this bike, I'd been looking, I'd been surfing the internet, I'd been going looking at shops, and I'd more or less decided on the BMW, the 1250 GS, or the Triumph, the Triumph 1200, the XC, whatever it is. And I knew both bikes well, and I really liked both bikes, and I wasn't sure whether to go with the Triumph or go with the BMW. Because to be honest with you, I've mostly been a Jap rider. So one of my mates, George, says to me, what about the KTM 1290? Well, I was always brought to believe a KTM was a dirt bike. So I looked them up, and I couldn't believe how much advanced they've become over the years. And I saw this 1290 Adventure. So I checked the reviews on it. People like Messenger Flyer, even Teapot One. He's done a few bits and pieces with a KTM. And I thought, wow, this bike's very underrated. And you don't see many of them going around. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to go for one. Bugger it, I'll bite the bullet and buy one. So I did. And you know what, I'm not disappointed, not in the slightest. This is the best bike that I've probably ever had, and I probably say that about every bike. The best cruiser I ever had was the Boulevard, and the best sports bike I had was my Yamaha MT-01. That, I really wish I'd kept that bike, I do miss it. But this KTM, I mean, wow, it's unbelievable. You've got all your adventure capabilities there. Yep, and it's just absolutely beautiful. You know, you got your ABS, you got twin discs at the front. I've I've got a radiator grille coming for it, I've got crash bars coming for it, I'm going to get a sump guard. You know, it's V-twin engine, typical KTM rattly engine, that's normal. And the exhaust, well, the exhaust weighed about a ton, but I changed that yesterday. It's just an absolutely fantastic bike, and if you bought one, you certainly wouldn't be disappointed. Plus, it makes a change from having Japanese bikes. So yeah, definitely if you want to have something different, something that stands out, something that not everybody has, because most people are going for the GSs and the Triumphs, and nobody sits and thinks about this Austrian motorcycle, the KTM. Takes a bit of beating, I'll tell you, and today when I went out I realised how much like a sports bike it was. Yeah, not disappointed. I'm over the moon, I just can't stop riding the bloody thing. Anyway, it's time for me to go and ride again, so I'll catch you later.